Aaron, what is our second main topic today?
This comes to us from Anfernee. Just got done finishing episode 4 of Miss Marvel, and my goodness, this show is continuously surprising me every single time. No spoilers, but that final scene gave me literal chills. But the rest of the episode revealed a bit more about Kamala's family history and where they come from. Honestly, I don't know what to think. Is she Inhuman or something else? How are they going to bring her into the greater MCU? Thanks a bunch, and bring on the filthy.
Thanks a lot for saying that in. And of course, you guys know that the show that is, the way I keep describing it is this. It is just a show that gives me joy. I watch it and my heart smiles. And it's funny because this morning, Rob walked in, went immediately to the coffee machine, which is always the first thing he does. And the very first thing he said was, I might be paraphrasing a bit, how good is Ms. Marvel? It was the very first thing he said. And I'm like, right? And now they're starting to get more into the mythology of it and the background of it and the clandestines and the djinn and all this kind of stuff. Now, I've seen a lot of stuff online after last night's episode about, well, is she an Inhuman? A lot of people wondering that. I actually got the complete opposite of that. I think the more and more they're revealing, it's more and more clear she's not Inhuman. And which, fine, again, we're not going to go into details. But other than the fact that the setting, of course, we knew out from the end of the last episode, they're going to Pakistan. And what's the name of the city?
Karachi.
They go to Karachi. The whole, Rob, you and I were talking about this earlier. The family dynamic is amazing. Every single episode, I fall more and more in love with our lead girl. I love the mom character more and more. And there's clearly more to this story than we've been revealed yet. And again, Rob, you and I were just talking prior to the show starting. I reasserted again. This is the best thing Marvel has put on TV since WandaVision. And I'm loving it. Anyway, you had a chance to see the episode last night. What do you think about the episode and how you feel about the show overall now 4 episodes in?
Well, I think, first of all, I really like this episode a lot. I've really liked episodes 3 and 4. I think the show is wonderful. And like I was saying to you, one of my favorite things about genre entertainment, I say science fiction, fantasy, horror, whatever, is when you can tell a great story in a fantasy context, but also at the same time, keep it meaningful and relevant. This is a really great family story. I think in the last episode, pre-wedding, it was the father that Kamala's watching the father give the son advice about what it
beautiful
is to get
scene,
married.
yeah.
And there's a great scene where he says, look, you can fear this or you can love this. You can bring fear into something or bring love into something. And when you go into a marriage, you bring love. There's nothing to fear. And I think that the family dynamic here, and I'll say this, there's a lot of people that have said online, there's a lot of pundits, people I respect even, that, they're saying that, they call this the MCU, or they don't like the fact that this film or this series, the way it portrays relationships between women, mothers and daughters, grandmothers and daughters, I think is wonderful. And it's so uplifting. And it's so, one of the great scenes in this new episode was when, I guess, the Nana, the grandmother,
Nani, I think
Nani
they call her,
is explaining that her heart, her passport says that she's Pakistani, but her heart is Indian.
Right.
And the schism between the separation between Pakistan and India, and this idea that the djinn world is separated from our world. I mean, there's so many thematic things that are going on in the show that I think are being going unrecognized. And there's a lot going on. You can watch a show and see it as a coming of age story of a teenage female superhero. You can see that. Certainly wonderful. I like all of that. But also there's a much deeper story going on here that's about family and about ancestors and about the state of the world. I was telling you, when I was in Korea in 2018 working on a documentary, there was this feeling amongst many of the people I interviewed to see Korea be reunified. And I was surprised by that. So many people, because I thought, well, they must hate the North Koreans. That wasn't the case at all. And to hear them even addressing the idea of Pakistan and India's history, and the fact that, like, I didn't get offended where someone says, "Oh, the white male patriarchy," when the
British,
the British colonists, they mention that, but that's just history.
Yeah.
And when I heard it, I didn't get offended. I'm like, here's people that would love to be whole again. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's what families are all about. We want to be a whole family. And like we were talking about, that marriage sequence and the dancing and that dance number, this is a wonderful program that I think it's going to be rediscovered for a long time to come, and it's a really terrific show. And I really like the twist in this episode.
The little twist that happens there, yeah.
Twist.
And by the way, the ending.
That's what
The ending was
because the ending brought all of these elements together. In case you didn't know what we were just addressing on this show, let's show you.
Yeah, I really dug that. Anyway, Aaron, I know you've been following along with the show. You and I were talking about how this is about a Pakistani family, but really one of the cool things about this, much like Big Fat Greek Wedding and others, is that, that's a Greek family. This is a Pakistani family. We all see our families. It's the same mom. It's the same whatever. But anyway, we want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of today's video, Stamps.com. Now, guys, as a small business owner myself, I'm always looking for ways to save costs, yes, but I know that our most valuable resource is time, and I'm always looking for things that can save us time. Stamps.com saves you both. Because when you're running a small business, every second counts. You can't afford to waste a single moment. So why are you still taking time out of your day to go to the post office when you could be using Stamps.com instead? Stamps.com makes mailing and shipping quick, easy, and cost-effective. How cost-effective? Well, you can get discounts that you can't find anywhere else, like up to 30% off USPS rates and 86% off UPS. And there's no special hardware technology you need. All you need is your regular computer and printer, no special supplies or equipment required. So guys, stop wasting time and start saving money when you use Stamps.com to mail and ship. Sign up with the promo code CAMPEA for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts needed. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the page, and enter the code CAMPEA. It's the same whatever. But anyway, you've been watching this. What did you think about the new, without giving too much away, what do you think about the new episode? And how are you feeling about the show overall so far?
Oh, I don't think that I could love it anymore. And then I see a new episode and I find new reasons to love it. And, one of the things, speaking to what you just said, is I'm shocked every episode at how I see myself in that character.
Right.
And not just because we both have lady parts, but because when she is hanging out the window, when she first gets to Karachi, we've seen that scene a million times, and it's always Manhattan. It's always New York. We always see. And to see this city in a country like I never saw Pakistan in the way that I'm seeing it in this episode, in the way that it's being portrayed. I'm seeing a part of the world that I've seen portrayed on the news and it's not portrayed like that. And I go, oh shit, wow, that reminds me of the first time that I went to Manhattan and the joy and the splendor and the wonder of the first time that I saw all those big buildings in New York. And this is a girl who literally is in New York all the time.
Jersey girl.
She's a Jersey girl. So, for her to see that and have this experience of wonder and amazement, and for us to actually be in the market, and for the first thing they do is to go and have drinks at the boat club, I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So this is blowing my mind.
You can't come in because you're wearing jeans.
Right. Exactly. Like it's very much like, we're going to let you know what's happening in this world, because you have I have a very different idea of what she's going to go into when she says, oh, we're going to go to Pakistan. I have an idea of what I think that means. And then they go and they totally blow that out of the water, which I think is beautiful. It makes me more educated as a viewer about a part of the world that I know nothing about. When they're talking about what happened historically, about why there is a separation between Pakistan and India and what partition was and all those things, in addition to the awesome fight scenes and this really cool story about the jinn and what's happening and whether she's a superhero and why she is and all these things, there's also, guys and gals just sitting around a campfire playing music and doing things that we've all done that are so relatable. So that's one of the things that I'm really loving about this show, is that in addition to the MCU aspect that I love and the superhero aspect that I'm excited about, I also feel like I'm watching Friends. When I see the mom and the grandmother together, and the mom is running around picking up,
Don't get too many details.
Sorry. The relationships are very identifiable. It reminds me a lot of me, my mom, and my grandmother.
Also, John, you know what else they did on this show? The cosmology of the Marvel universe.
They keep expanding it.
And I'm like, there's a map that we see in this episode, and I'm like, what does this mean in terms of the multiverse, in terms of the gods, in terms of magic and the supernatural? I mean, they have a lot. They have a lot that they have expanded the and how does it all play into everything?
Yeah, it's raising a lot of questions. I will say this. There's an element of this episode, and I'll just tell you the characters. I'm not going to tell you what they do or how they do it or anything like that. But there are some characters here that just refer to as the Red Daggers. I was not thrilled with how that was handled, to be honest with you. Like, that's probably the one part of the episode that I was like, this is not. It's the one part of the show, really, that I went, nah, this is not firing on all. Can we get back to Nakia? Can we get back to Bruno and Nakia? But don't get me wrong, I love the fact that they're in Pakistan there. But again, the Red Dagger stuff didn't work for me. But overall, episode's great. They continue to expand the world, expand the MCU, give us deeper understanding of the characters. This show is magnificent. I'm so loving it right now. Question is for you guys. Did you have a chance to see the episode last night? If so, what parts of it worked with you? What parts didn't work for you? Maybe you love the Red Daggers, maybe you didn't. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.